Hello, my friend. Today we will continue with the 4 elements of the Eightfold Path that Buddha taught, which can help us so much. If you haven't seen the first part in which I talk about the first 4, I encourage you to watch it to complement today's. Let's get to it. The 5th element will be the right livelihood. This refers to how we earn a living. This is something that is rarely talked about. The obvious is not dedicating to anything that kills other human beings or animals, that is related to stealing, trafficking, or making weapons, which can be a problem, especially in the States, where there is a huge military industry and lots of engineers and scientists are involved in making either physical weapons or biological ones. It's not a good idea to make a living in any of those fields. If you are in them, get out of them. For those of us on a path of personal and spiritual growth, our work or the consequences should not harm other people, other living beings, or the planet. If so, it would be better to change jobs, because we somehow contribute to the destruction and harm of others, even if we want to justify it differently. This will also involve being ethical in our work, not trying to deceive others or manipulate them to sell more or to achieve our ends. In other words, we should always be honest and upright with our customers and our colleagues. And if we, for example, we are in a position to administer justice, it's important to be fair, not to let ourselves be corrupted or swayed by different impulses or pressures that will make us fail to do justice. And perhaps in our time, we should also include other issues related to earning a living. For example, how absorbing and stressful is our dedication to our work? Does it take all your time and energy so you don't have time for meditation, reflection, study, and so on? Of course, there are circumstances in life where you have no choice. You have 10 children to feed? Well, okay. But usually there is the possibility to choose. Many people realize that they need more time for meditation and to dedicate to spiritual practice. So they decide to downsize their job. Sometimes they take demotions, and sometimes they switch professions or careers. Sometimes there are very demanding careers or positions. For example, you may be a manager of a large team, and you have to deal with conflict regularly. Some people decide to take a demotion or change their livelihood because they cannot proceed with this kind of job and at the same time have a sense of ease and serenity. And this negatively affects their whole lives. So this is something that each person must evaluate and come to their own conclusions and decisions. Okay, let's go to the 6th one, which is the right effort. And Buddha meant, or what I think Buddha meant, is that it's not enough to act in a harmful way, but to sow good actively. This is what I think he meant by this. So it's not about reading on our sofa the teachings of wise people who have left us and see and read that incredible legacy and guide. It's also about putting effort into actively building, inspiring, sowing, and helping. In other words, we require enthusiastic effort, as one of the lamas whom I learned in northern India said to me, to live aligned with the teachings, to bring them into our day-to-day life with our family, with work colleagues, with clients, with our boss, with suppliers, with friends. The right effort is like base camp 6. It's an important stop where you are moving up a high mountain. Many people never get here, not even on a day trip. This is the base camp for the highest climb, with all the equipment, all the planning, all the proper maps, and all the techniques for getting up to the final and 8th factor of the path, samadhi, where you will be completely free. We must remember that we have more influence than we think on the people around us, and we must become actual examples of behavior and models others would like to emulate. And for this, there are usually 5 pernicious mental states that is worth making an effort to eradicate because they prevent us from maintaining a lucid and serene mind. These are called the 5 obstacles. And the first one is desire. What we are urged here is to focus basically more on what is really needed instead of feeding continuous cravings and yearnings, often to alleviate emotional deficiencies or neuroses that we have not healed. As a matter of fact, we live in a society of marketing, continually pushing us to desire what we do not have and live in permanent dissatisfaction or the feeling of lack. We have to be very careful because if we are unaware, we can be prey to such a pernicious mental state continuously. And remember, desire is a form of lack. The second obstacle will be hatred or rejection. And here it refers to all feelings of this range: aggressiveness, anger, visceral rejection of others, condemnation, judgment, criticism, holding grudges, all those. The third one is anxiety or restlessness. And this aspect is directly related to the most basic mindfulness. We have always think that is, we always think, very often we'll say, that the best is located somewhere else, that we want to move to the next good thing, that somehow we have to avoid the present moment. And anxiety can be disguised as a list of mental things that I need to do for tomorrow. But most of the time, it's only restlessness and unease. When we are working, we think about the weekend. When it's our time to rest or vacation, we think about work, what we have left to do, what we have to finish. If you don't have a partner, you want one. If you want one, you want to be alone, or you think it will be better with another type of person. And sometimes we can't even sit alone quietly, even for a few minutes, without reaching for some kind of distraction or the cell phone to be able to quieten our mind, whether it's social media, the news, messaging. So without being able to calm our mind and to quieten it, we cannot advance. And I think we have to be very aware of this. The fourth obstacle is laziness or lethargy. And the problem with this is that this obstacle leads us to inertia and passivity. And it's when we feel that nothing matters to us, that everything is the same, and it's actually an attitude of rigidity and stagnation that usually leads us to discouragement and disillusionment and prevent us from moving forward. And the fifth and final one is doubt or indecision. And it's not about the healthy doubt that drives us to investigate, to ask, to question, and clarify ideas, but rather the corrosive doubt that takes away our initiative and hinders us. It concerns a lack of confidence in decision and not wanting to commit. Unfortunately, this happens in our society more often than we may think, because we are in the liquid society par excellence. So now that we have seen the 5 main obstacles, according to Buddhism, of course, these 5 pernicious mental states that prevent us from maintaining a lucid and serene mind, we can continue with the last 2 aspects of the Noble Eightfold Path. So the seventh one will be right mindfulness or correct mindfulness. And here we talk about a type of conscious attention that allows us to realize things, remembering instead of forgetting, dissolve the dispersion and concentrate. So we must learn to see, to look, to be conscious, to be receptive. In this way, we will enter into deeper at least communication with life. And thanks to this, we can live experiences in a richer, a more authentic way, instead of doing just everything through a distorted mental filter and our projections and expectations. So self-attention purifies our thoughts, our motivation, and the beliefs, because we learn that by self-observing, instead of being reactive to external triggers, we will be less led to act automatically and in a generally destructive way. So mindfulness is our relationship with others, and this is going to allow us to listen to them with attention and with genuine interest, not looking to reply or tell our story or give our opinion or our version. And this is what really allows us to truly connect with people. And finally, we arrive to the summit, which is the right concentration. According to Buddha, this final stage will lead us to the perfect vision, to experience samadhi, awakening, and enlightenment. For those of us walking on this path of growth, it will be related to a sense of meditative concentration that leads us to calmness and stillness, and to spiritual realizations such as experiencing continuous inner peace, flashes of intuition and perception of other realities that cannot be captured through thought or rationality. It allows deeper understanding of things and connection with unconditional love. As we advance and stabilize all this step by step, it will lead us to a true transformation of our being. And this whole process takes a long time to integrate. And it has to be repeated to settle down, to take root in us, and again, increasing higher levels until you reach a stage, the unitive one, according to the classification of the levels of consciousness that I talked about in my book, The 7 Levels of Wisdom. And at this final stage, the totality of the being is transformed. One becomes entirely saturated by the light of enlightenment, feeling part of oneness without the artificial separation of the ego. Buddhists call this stage perfect samadhi, and this is the stage at which the entirety of our being and individual consciousness has aligned with the perfect vision, has completely transformed, and has awakened to the world, from the world of illusion, from samsara, from the matrix, and has been completely transmuted into from the lowest to the highest levels. And this state will be that of enlightenment, awakening, which we all should aspire to, because this is our ultimate goal on this earth. So I hope this review has inspired you, and I encourage you to work on it, because this is vital on the path of consciousness for each one of us.